So you're telling me you could teleport to the moon?
Yes.
I don't know why I'm surprised. I really should not be surprised at what you can do at this point. Although I guess the real question is, can you bring someone?
Yeah, I could bring along one other if they grab my hand.
You know I want to.
Do you want to die?
I mean, not today at least.
Then you need one of those astronaut helmets to breathe.
Makes sense. Well, I'm gonna buy a helmet and we'll take a trip when it comes.
Alright, sounds good.
On backlog, been gone for way too long. On backlog, got so many games to play, dog. On backlog, Donkey Kong expands my dome. On backlog, me and Carlo been fucking since dawn. On backlog, did you know that Carlo wears thongs? On backlog, I really fucking hate this song. Yeah.
What is up, guys? It is Robert at Gaming with me, and welcome to Back of the Backlog, the series where we take a look at the games that I recently beat off my backlog. Today's episode is on the game Borderlands, the pre-sequel on this handsome collection. Borderlands is a series that I quite enjoyed of what I played. I first played the spin-off Tales from the Borderlands when it first released back in 2014 and absolutely loved it. Although that Telltale Games spin-off is nothing like the main first-person shooter games. It was a series I wanted to get into with its unique comic book-like art style, its humor, and I do like me some first-person shooters. I played and loved 2019's Borderlands 3 and had it as my number 2 pick for best game of 2019. Then literally a couple months ago I played new Tales from the Borderlands, which I found to be unfortunately bad and extremely disappointing. I also own Borderlands 1 and 2. Both Borderlands and Borderlands 2 will be episodes one day. Yes, I'm essentially going backwards with this franchise since I started with 3. It is what it is. It doesn't really bother me, and to be fair, like the title says, it is a prequel to the sequel. So it's a little bit more in order. Borderlands the pre-sequel was released on October 14th, 2014 in the US. It was developed by 2K Australia and Gearbox Software and published by 2K. We are taking a look at the PlayStation 4 version that came out in 2015 via the PlayStation 5. Was this prequel to the sequel worth playing at all? Well, here we are 11 years after its original release. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the story first. Handsome Jack is the villain of Borderlands 2. In this game, we follow Jack and his rise to power. This whole game is a story told by a flashback from the character Athena being tied up by Lilith. This encounter between Athena and Lilith takes place after Borderlands 2. Lilith asks why she was working with Handsome Jack. This was when Jack was considered a low-level Hyperion programmer. A group of Vault Hunters are hired by Jack to find a vault on Pandora's moon, Elpis. Trouble happens when the leader of the Lost Legion, Zarpedon, uses the Eye of Helios to laser Elpis constantly, trying to destroy and stop us from getting to the vault. People live on Elpis, so we work together with Jack to take control of Helios, save the people on Elpis, and of course, find that vault. That's the intro of the game, and it may sound like Jack isn't such a bad guy as he literally is trying to stop Elpis from getting destroyed and killing a ton of people, but it's as you go on that Jack starts to show some darker psychopathic tendencies. It's just not all that noticeable because everyone in this game is a little psychotic and murderous, so they kind of have to push Jack a decent amount further later on when certain things happen. While the story bounces all over the place, I was interested to see how they turned Jack into Handsome Jack by the end. Right off the bat, visually this game is great. I love the art style of this franchise as per usual, standing out among the many shooters that aim for realism with this sort of budget. The comic style just looks fantastic and will probably never age as this game looks just as clean as it did when it first released. This game had some of the best looking skyboxes ever. I love seeing outer space in its different colors with planets in the distance. Helios shooting at Elpis, seeing the massive laser come down to us. There were times I just looked out into the distance because it was just so goddamn cool looking.
Well, right off the bat for me, I clearly played the wrong game. I played Borderlands 1.
You sure you're not doing this on purpose? First the Resident Evil games, and now this?
I thought by prequel to the sequel, you meant 1.
But why would I ever say it like that?
I thought the same thing. You know I'll play this when you guys play 1.
Yeah. Were you guys confused?
No, because we're not bloody morons.
While Athena is telling the story, you have the option of choosing between several Vault Hunters. Each character has their own unique abilities and dialogue, giving different reasons as to who you might want to play as. I was really stuck on who to pick for like a good 15 minutes, which is a lot of time for me when it comes to this sort of stuff. One thing I know is I'm a big fan of not playing as a human. Not all the time, but if you give me the option, there's a good chance I'm going to play as something that is not human, especially if it's weird and humorous. So while I thought about picking Jack, who is not actually Jack, but someone who looks and sounds like Jack, as I'd like to maybe hear more of that character and see why people like him so much, well, the real Jack is already a character you constantly interact with. It's actually him with his storyline, so I thought it would be okay to not pick him. I ended up picking Claptrap. If you know me, it only makes sense. Claptrap somehow annoys some people, but I love that robotic guy. He is literally the dumb comedic character, and to have him constantly say some funny, entertaining, dumb shit is great. He's the one character in this series who is always happy-go-lucky, even in the shittiest of situations. This is the first time he's playable, so yeah, I went with Claptrap. Funny thing is when you select him, you get 3 different warning screens making sure the player truly wants to play as Claptrap, saying stuff like, "Hold on, you've met Claptrap, right? Annoyingly cheerful and talks a lot. You sure about this?" That is exactly why I want to play as him, and yes, he is hilarious. Even stuff like him landing will have him go ow like in pain, and his random evil laughter he'll do is so good. The most unique thing about Claptrap is the fact that he doesn't need oxygen. Because a large portion of this game takes place on the moon, you'll be needing to consistently gather up oxygen to be able to breathe. Now there's oxygen damn near everywhere in this game, so I rarely would see a circumstance as to people losing air and taking damage and dying. Since I played as a character that doesn't rely on that, I can't confirm that it's an annoyance, but looking up others' reactions to it, it seems like it's something you barely notice as you only lose 1 HP a second with no oxygen. And that makes sense given the fact that you have hundreds of HP, and like I said, you can refill your oxygen damn near everywhere in the world, and the many enemies you kill drop oxygen tanks. That being said, Claptrap doesn't lose health with no oxygen, so the option is there. Realistically, the real reason oxygen is a gameplay mechanic is to introduce the Oz kits. The Oz kits are another set of armor, you could say. These kits allow you to boost after your initial jump, which creates some awesome momentum movement. Being on the moon also has your character jump with low gravity, creating for some huge jumps and movement options combined with the boost from the Oz kits, which was just a lot of fun. There was rarely a moment I wasn't boosting around in this world. It made traversing the areas really damn great. Then each gives you the ability to essentially ground pound, slamming on the way down, affecting nearby enemies with different elements such as explosion damage depending on the kit.
Sucks you guys can't breathe in space.
I mean, it's not like the majority of humans will ever go to space.
Yeah, but you're missing out.
Okay, it's not like humans could just teleport to space like you.
I know, and you're missing out.
I know I'm missing out, but there ain't shit I could do about it.
Exactly, and that sucks.
I know it sucks, just stop. You were accidentally flexing.
Oh, my bad. It's just, it's a shame.
Taking on this world and its many enemies will have you constantly run into a lot of loot. Borderlands is a looter shooter in which you'll run into boxes full of random weapons, shields, grenades, loot. While it's not the first looter shooter, it's the game that essentially set the standard. It's a huge part of the game. Running into new weapons to try creates variety unlike any other shooter. There are so many, and you'll be constantly swapping out weapons for new ones because every weapon has its own unique stats, such as damage, accuracy, reload speed, magazine size. Completing certain missions or finding hidden areas will have boxes with rare loot with special weapons that are considered legendary. Weapons that are more special will typically have some additional elements to them, like the ability to freeze or burn enemies, causing some extra and very satisfying damage output. You are always given an incentive to try new weapons, and they do generally feel different, which is impressive. Dealing with a lot of weapons does mean debating your inventory, but throughout the game, you eventually earn a couple more slots for weapons, not having to choose between different types all the time. The gunplay in general is super satisfying. The controls are nice and tight in this fast-paced world. I liked swapping between assault rifles, pistols, and lasers, but one mainstay for me since the beginning was a sniper. It felt great to take out enemies from afar one at a time and switch to another type when getting closer. The laser weapons were awesome, especially the beam ones with a continuous laser mowing down your targets. There are a lot of enemies you'll be facing in all sorts of directions and areas that can get a bit overwhelming if you aren't careful at times, especially with dudes floating in the sky. Luckily, when you die, it's not the biggest of deal, as typically you are close to where you were at, and it seems to save the number of enemies you killed before you died if you head straight back into it. Regardless, this game is first-person shooter goodness with its great gunplay and impressive weapon variety. Mix that in with the fun low-gravity boost movement, and it ends up being such an entertaining shooter to play. The main missions continue your progress and open up to new areas, but some of the most memorable missions are the side missions. I did complete a pretty big portion of the side quests, probably about 80% of them, which is a lot for me, because a decent amount of these side quests are unique or over-the-top goofy, making it a lot of fun to play them. Some of the funniest ones are finding a dead person's recording of his last request, which we end up doing, and one of the requests is just to go tell this one guy he's a dick.
Now, tell him he's a dick.
Captain Thorson wishes to inform you that you are a dick.
No!
Another has you find a basketball for this guy that is being interviewed, and he shows off his dunk, which when he jumps, he ends up never stopping and funnily leaves the world. Which then after that, you are the person that ends up dunking and being interviewed, which is very funny. One will have you find this nurse's potential love by approaching these guys and start shooting them to see how tough they are. Then another is a Christopher Columbus-like parody where this one guy talks about how he discovered this moon, but the people living here keep giving him shit about setting up his flag, so you gotta defend him as he stands there saluting, humming with his flag slowly raising. It's a lot of funny shit with a solid amount of variety of objectives. Yes, the main gameplay loop is shootouts, but your reasons and characters you meet change up the pace pretty often. I just really enjoy this world. There's not a lot of big environment changes, especially compared to something like Borderlands 3, which I felt had more visually distinct areas. This isn't necessarily a negative, but it's also not a positive. The different areas on the moon just don't really look different, and I'm not really surprised about that given the setting. When we do leave the moon for a pretty big portion of the second half of the game, it made me realize how much more I enjoyed being on the moon compared to these other areas. These later areas are much tighter, with a lot of times being in buildings instead of a more open area of the moon, making firefights a lot more cramped. The biggest loss is not having the low gravity jumps, losing a lot of that fun momentum movement that made me really enjoy the game. It's still good fun because the gunplay is great, but it definitely feels like it loses something big for me in these areas, and you spend a decent chunk of the game like that. So while I do appreciate the variety for variety's sake isn't always a positive, as I feel this game is built around the moon, the movement, and the Oz kits, making it feel lesser when those areas ignore these important mechanics. The biggest negative for me is the amount of backtracking you'll be doing. There's no good way to fast travel. In fact, I wouldn't even call it fast, as there are a limited amount of fast travel stations around the whole world, and if an area doesn't have a fast travel station, you just gotta run or drive throughout the area. Which the vehicles are fun to drive, each equipped with multiple weapons to gun down while driving, but I do wish you could just open up your map and fast travel between areas, because so many missions have you start in an area, end in a completely different one, but have to close the mission and earn your rewards back where they gave you the mission. This can end up being some long backtracking, and there were some side missions that were way too deep in an area with no fast travel stations to make it worth even doing if it didn't sound as interesting. Backtracking can be tedious as enemies respawn, and once you are like 6 to 8 levels higher than the enemies, you only gain literally 1 XP for every kill, which makes zero sense to do while they still cause some decent damage to you. For comparison, you'll typically gain hundreds of XP per enemy kill when it's at your same level or similar. It's just better to run past them, but at that point, they might as well not even respawn. Or maybe they should do something humorous, where they are afraid of you and don't attack, but if you start shooting, then they shoot back, giving both the players that are over-leveled freedom to move around the world, and others who want to shoot out in that same area the ability to do so. Regardless, letting me be able to fast travel more freely would have completely removed that negative for me. Borderlands is a mix of genres including RPG, with its leveling system, progression stats for your character, their weapons and armor, and skill tree. There's plenty of tinkering to have your character tailor to how you want to play. Every character has a unique action skill that can be used every so often on a cooldown timer, which I admittedly kept forgetting to use early on, as Claptrap's action skill is quite literally random. Sometimes he'll be invisible, making it great to move around undetected. Sometimes he'll copy the equipped weapon, continuously firing both. Sometimes he'll throw out another Claptrap bot to help out. It's all pretty much good stuff, and I started to use it more often later on, especially during hectic fights, as it refills your health when used. His skill tree that you add points to when leveling up is all over the place with pros and cons for everything. I went pretty tame with it, adding to the ones that help with health and some cool explosion damage ones.
I actually played as Jack, and his action skill was really helpful. He summons 2 other Jacks to fight alongside you.
Oh, for solo play that'd actually be pretty helpful.
I played as Athena for the story, and her action skill was this shield that would take damage and you'd throw it back at enemies, which was very cool.
I didn't play the game, so, not much I could say. I could tell you about Borderlands 1, though.
Tell us when that episode happens. There's a pretty damn awesome Easter egg that I saw in this game back when it first released, and always knew that when I eventually played it, I wanted to check it out for myself. It's near the end of the game with these platforms that lift you up towards these pipes. One of them will be accessible at the top, leading into a Super Mario Bros. Style room with blocks and pipes that look very similar to the original Super Mario Bros. After taking on a bunch of enemies, you'll have some loot waiting for you, but if you jump to the top, that seems like nothing is going on. You could walk to a secret warp pipe room that you can easily miss, like the original Super Mario Bros. With more loot to grab. This whole Easter egg room is one of the best in all of gaming to me. Absolutely love it. I'm now going to talk about the final few missions just to let you know. The turning point for Jack, or at least what the game wants you to feel, is when a group of scientists you meet have a potential person secretly working for Zarpedon, feeding her information on what we are doing. Jack has them all in an airlock and tells them hundreds of innocent lives are on the line here, so he can't take the risk and shoots the 4 scientists out into space, killing them. This leaves the Eye of Helios open, but Lilith is concerned, telling Jack how he just straight up murdered them. Jack says if he didn't, one of them could have easily turned the defenses back on, killing one of us. When playing as Claptrap, it's a moral dilemma, like we are supposed to be like, wow Jack, how could you do such a thing? But this is Borderlands. Every single character we've encountered has done some fucked up murderous shit to others that haven't even done anything to them. And at least Jack had a reason, which was to save hundreds of other lives. And sure, killing them just in case is of course over the top, but all this game has given me is over the top decisions, so it doesn't really mean much. While on Helios, we have a pretty big boss battle with Zarpedon, with the Eye of Helios shooting out its laser to Elpis. It is pretty damn cool, and when Zarpedon is defeated, she warns Jack to turn back, as the vault will trigger a chain of events, and Jack cuts her off, killing her, saying, "Board!" Then we finally turn off the laser and are about to take back control of it when all of a sudden the control is denied, and Moxie tells Jack she is doing something she should have done a long time ago, which is kill him, and calls him a power-hungry psychopath, saying behind that smile, there's something wrong with you. Jack says,
Damn it, I trusted you, Moxie! Do you know what you've done? You've just killed us all!
Jack doesn't actually die and says they're no better than bandits, and we prepare to make a move to get to the vault before Moxie and the others do. The betrayal really affects Jack and is ready to make a move immediately. The final mission is getting to the vault, facing a bunch of guardians. These are some pretty damn cool design enemies that are much different from the typical enemies you've been versing. They overwhelm you in these tighter corridor areas, and maybe even feels a bit off playing solo, as this is a big co-op game. Finally, after a shit ton of enemies and mini bosses, we enter the vault. Inside the vault comes out the Sentinel, guardian of the vault. The Sentinel has moves where he'll deflect your bullets, shoot out these fireballs from his hands, and run at you to attack with his staff. After a bunch of ammo being dumped into him, his shield falls. He jumps with his staff, causing a shockwave, and recovers his shield. Well, shit. Then, in this second phase, he does a big gaming sin for me, which is bring other enemies into a boss battle. Unfortunately, every boss battle was like this, so I wasn't surprised. After his shield goes down, he jumps up again, and yes, refills his shield again. Well, shit. I keep on jumping and shooting as this would be a long fight to start over. His shield falls, and I actually do damage to his health, which is perfect. The intensity is ramped up with giant lasers being shot around me. Bullet after bullet shot into the Sentinel until he is defeated. He evaporates along with any other enemies around. Loot is on the floor as I check them out until the floor pulsates. The center of the room opens up and out comes a giant arm, and god damn, I wasn't expecting this! The massive Hyperion Sentinel comes out, and now this is the actual final battle. His face is what takes damage, forcing you in front of him where he constantly attacks. He messes with the floor, tries to drag you into some damaging orb. Finally, after many more bullets, the Hyperion Sentinel collapses. Until he gets up again and refills all his health and shield. Well, shit! Even more bullets and jumping around and panicking until you beat his ass finally! No! Oh my god! Well, shit! Yeah, he refills his health and shield again. But this is the actual final finale phase of this fucker. Intensity is through the roof, as repeating this whole thing would be absolutely brutal. As this dude pukes on the ground, I keep on targeting the bastard. With his health so damn low, I also came insanely close to dying. Literally a few seconds more would have been the end. But with a little more laser to his face came the actual, genuine, literal end. He slides down to the depths he came from. A ton of loot shoots around congratulating you. Damn, that was fucking intense. We grab this floating vault object and a cutscene appears with Jack checking out the object as it ends up showing him visions of the future with him yelling how he understands now. His vision is then interrupted by Lilith as she punches the vault object into Jack's face, burning and branding it to his face. He tells Athena his plan.
Then we're gonna wake the warrior.
The what?
It's gonna be so good. We're gonna scorch the freaking planet in fire. There's gonna be screaming. Bandits are gonna die left and right. I can't wait.
It cuts back to Athena and Lilith from the beginning, with Athena saying that's when she stopped following Jack. Lilith says to kill her, but this alien out of nowhere stops the bullets and tells them, "War is coming, and you will need all the Vault Hunters you can get." And then the credits roll. That was a pretty intense ending with that boss. Cool design, hectic as hell with his 6 phases, and I like the whole Jack just completely losing his shit by the end. Now, he's officially off the rails. He saw some crazy future that is supposedly Borderlands 2. He's got his face smashed in by Lilith, and now he's completely convinced that by unleashing this warrior, he can get rid of all bandits, including the people who betrayed him. There's a post-credit scene with Jack killing the Hyperion CEO and taking over the company with a new synthetic mask on, calling himself Handsome Jack. That was some pretty good shit. Realistically, his change from psychotic to super psychotic is very much about this vision he has shown. From getting betrayed, almost being killed, getting disfigured, and then being shown a vision on how he can get rid of these people? Yeah, I guess it makes sense why he's going full blown in that plan, becoming who he is in Borderlands 2. As for the credits, I love seeing the developers being able to write thank you notes. It gives a lot of personality and humanity to the game you just played, which is so awesome. I wish every game did this. Although there were quite a few devs that talked about thanking their families for being patient with their long hours and stuff like that. And it does make me think they probably worked under crunch, which this game came out before the crunch work culture started popping up on people's radars. Hopefully that wasn't the case, and if it was, hopefully that isn't the case now. That was Borderlands, the pre-sequel. That was a really good game. Taking that great gunplay of the series and adding more momentum movement options makes for a really entertaining entry in the series. I love playing as Claptrap and interacting with the many hilarious characters, including Jack, in the large variety of missions. Definitely makes me even more curious to see how evil he is in Borderlands 2. The only things really holding the game back for me are the backtracking, the similar looking areas, and the parts that remove the fun low gravity movement. Overall, I'm going to give Borderlands the pre-sequel a, I wouldn't mind Claptrap talking in all my games, out of 10. Really good game, and I'm definitely looking forward to checking out Borderlands and Borderlands 2. When will we play them? At some point. That'll be it for today though. Thank you so much for watching. Have you played Borderlands the pre-sequel? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Let me know down in the comments below, and I'll see you all next time. Borderlands the pre-sequel was a very funny space adventure, but it is officially out of the backlog.
Ready?
Yeah. Will this hurt?
No, you won't feel anything.
Okay. Let's do it.
You didn't have to close your eyes, you know. We're here.
Wow! Oh my god. Really makes you feel tiny. Thanks, man.
No problem. I should have told you. I just didn't think about it.
You gotta show Kylo and Niffler. I mean, this is stunning.
Definitely.
Let's go back and have them experience this.
We can't go back right away as it takes a lot of energy for me to do this.
Okay, more space time for me. How long until you're good?
About 7.
Minutes?
No, days.
What?
It takes about 7 days.
Finn, you are literally joking, right?
No, it takes a lot of energy.
Why the fuck wouldn't you say that before we left?
Who goes on vacation for a couple of minutes?
This isn't supposed to be a vacation! What the hell are we gonna do on the moon for a week? We have no food! What were you thinking?
Relax. I brought food, you fat bastard. And I even brought our next game so we can start it here.
Finn, we have no PC to play this on.
Oh, that's right. Well, we could take turns looking at the cover.